everyone, and welcome back to another episode of 5 Talk. We are here today to dive into the realm of groundbreaking investment opportunities with Ortak and iGaming Excellence with B.F.T.H Arena Awards that offers a fresh batch of over 3 million FTN prize pool. Joining us in the studio today is B.F.T.H, who is here to share her thoughts and experiences on B.F.T.H Arena Awards 2024. Hello, B.F.T.H, and thank you so much for joining me here. I know this is your first time, right?
Yes. Hi, Jasmine. Thank you for having me here.
I'm really very happy to see you here, and I know that the participant voting of B.F.T.H Arena Awards is already closed and it's the time for jury voting. How is the process going on? Maybe there is some news you would like to share with us?
Yes, of course. Providers and game designers are excited to be part of this initiative. This year, more than 100 games from over 70 providers have joined the competition, and it's definitely tough as all the games are pretty incredible. This year, the public players have the chance to vote for their favorite games until June 16 to choose the winner in a player's game of choice category. So this is a great chance for providers to involve their audience and help promote their game.
Amazing. Thank you so much, B.F.T.H, for joining, and thank you for the insights.
Thank you. It was great pleasure.
Today we have another special guest who has joined us via video call, Dr. Aya Loss from RubyPlay. Hello, and thank you for joining us today.
My pleasure. I'm really happy to be here.
Same here. Let's start our conversation with Ortak and the innovative path it's paving in the investment world. What do you think about the concept of investing in shares and NFT collections from top-ranking games through Ortak? Do you think that it will contribute to the broader adoption of blockchain technology in the gaming sector?
So I think that it's really interesting because when you look at top-performing games, and this is really what we are the expert of, like creating games, top-performing games are outperforming average-performing games by a factor of 10 or sometimes even a factor of 20. But the thing is, no players know that the games are top performing. They just play the games that they like. The beauty of the Ortak idea is that it actually connects to that wisdom of the crowds, where you've got the Ortak technology connects to top performing games and allow players to invest in that performance, where essentially the only way that they can know is by looking at the games and decide if they enjoy playing the game. Now, what we know is that when players enjoy playing the game tend to outperform other games by a factor of 10, like I said before, which then means that Ortak potentially can open a really interesting investment avenue for players literally investing in the games they feel that are the most fun to play. And this it's a really nice idea and a really cool combination. And I think that in terms of adoption, the reality is that there is already lots of really exciting ideas of bringing this kind of technology the blockchain technology into gaming. So I really think that technologies that are able to connect a simple idea with a really core experience for players really have a shot of having a massive impact. So I'm really interested to see where it takes, and I think it's a really, really interesting idea.
Are there any games or types of games that you yourself would be interested to invest in?
So I want to say that without giving investment advice, I think that the fact of the matter is that everywhere when we see players engaging with games of chance, slot games by far take the most interest over long periods of time. We've seen this, for example, recently in Brazil, where we had mind games and crash games have a really strong interest. But as soon as a strong slot mechanic was introduced, the game immediately turned into slot games, and the majority of players' interest, spin share, bet share is right now in slots. We've seen this so many times before. Over the last 130 years of slot history, we've seen exactly the same things happen in the US back in the 70s. We've seen exactly the same thing happen in Australia. We've seen the same thing in Europe. So I would really say that if you find a slot game that you think has a strong mechanic, it's definitely going to be a really good investment opportunity.
So what you mean, it really depends on the market specifics as well, correct?
No, I think that what we can expect with Ortak is that the investment opportunities would probably be in slot games rather than any games in general. I really think that at the end of the day, we can see this in everywhere we look, in every market we look, the slot games eventually take the largest interest in terms of revenue generating. And that's a really strong connection with the Ortak's model. So my money would be on finding strong slot games and investing on those tokens.
I got you. Can you elaborate on the thought process behind your choice of thematic for your game? Like, how do your visual elements contribute to immersive gaming experiences?
So, I want to talk specifically about our game, Mad Hit Olympic First. So, last year in the competition, we actually won. So we have this really big, I think, expectation from ourselves. To really, to bring something really interesting. And, first of all, we just taken, Mr. First and asked for its advice. But really, we thought, how do we combine that kind of fun Mr. First elements, the IP, that impression that Mr. First had, and combine it with something that's happening now? And I'm thinking, well, there's the Olympics. The Olympics is just about to start. So what if we take Mr. First and train Mr. First to the Olympics, literally? So it's a game about training Mr. First for the Olympics. So the game has weights, and it has boxing, and it has, sneakers for running. So all of those things. So we trained Mr. First, take out Mr. First, and we trained them really hard to represent Bet Construct in the Olympics. Mr. First told us actually he would like to participate in cycling, so it's going to be a cycling champion. And I think really it's about creating something players can relate to. As I said before, you never know what's going to work. We always try our best as game designers. All our games, we bring everything. But how do you create something that players relate to? You try to look at things that in the players' everyday events that are relevant. Like in this competition aligns with the Olympics. So why don't bring that idea of the Olympics games and the idea of Mr. First? In the last year, we thought, okay, let's do something kind of crazy. Let's take Mr. First, send him back in time to ancient Egypt. And, that fun Mr. First that always, think about how to do things smart and being successful, but also having a good time. It fit really well. It was also a bit funny, having Mr. First, and he had his shirt off and all that. So I think it's really about trying to get something that players perceive as fun, that connects to the IP, and also somehow related to something that they experience every day. In this case, this time, we're going with the Olympics.
I cannot help mentioning that Dr. Lauz's creativity is always unique when it's about Mr. First. Thank you so much, and thank you for your uniqueness and creativeness in this term. What unique features or aspects do you believe that distinguish your game from others in the competition, and how do these distinguished elements contribute to its potential success? I know you're gonna love this question.
So the thing is, we really wanted to create something unique for this game. So we created a mechanic we don't actually have in our library. So we created a mechanic with 3,125 way to win. So it's a ways mechanic, and it's a 5x5 25 independent reels. And the idea is that we've got that Mad Hit symbol, which is also a wild symbol that can land at the center of this grid. And whenever that symbol lands, then any prizes you see on the screen, you win those immediately. So the idea was to actually bring that kind of a unique mechanic that we don't really have, but also on a fairly a familiar mechanic of activator prize game mechanic. And we think that it aligned really well with this narrative that we have for the game, and with this really rich collection of different symbols that connects to the narrative that I said. And in the free games, you actually have that Mad Hit symbol stuck in the middle for the whole feature. The other cool thing is that Mr. First is literally always present above the reels. And sometimes when you don't quite get what you want, the Mr. First can essentially pull the symbols back, give you those prizes back, or give you a Mad Hit back. So there's always that second chance that Mr. First gives you. I think that the game is really interesting. I believe it's a really strong mechanic, and I'm really curious to see how players will respond to it.
I am sure you have looked through other contestants, and is there any game specifically that you think is your direct competitor? Who do you think has the chance of winning apart from you?
Well, the thing is, I think that it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. If I'm going to say, hey, I think that those guys are going to win, I might actually be helping that to happen. So I want to be cautious from saying that. After all, we're the winner of last time. But I was really excited to see that just like last time, we have tier 1 competitors participating. I've seen a few entries for massive companies like Pragmatic. But the other really interesting things, I've seen lots and lots of entries from companies I've never seen before. So it's a really nice balance between top tier companies, of course, which we consider ourselves among, and also smaller companies. And I really think that that's really great, because one thing that we all know about the industry of making game, it's an insanely competitive industry, and it's really nice to see that there's always more players. By players, I mean like participants, content providers, and this is really what keeps us on our toes. Like we can never say, okay, look, we have a really good mechanic. It was Immortal Ways series, and Immortal Ways Missed It First that did really well last time. We always have to reinvent ourselves and innovate, and really this competition that we are in now, really give us that real test of fire. How well can we do in such a competitive environment with competing with all of those very, very talented teams.
Thank you for sharing with us, and thank you for such an honest and fruitful insights from your side, and thanks for being here today again.
My pleasure. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you. Bye-bye. The winners of B.F.T.H Arena Awards in all categories will be announced during the Harmony meetup held from July 1st to 4th in Yerevan, Armenia. Thank you everyone for tuning on. Keep following our episodes to stay updated about B.F.T.H Arena, Ortak, and many other innovative products and initiatives. See you soon.